there's our cool little 8-bit samurai. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Durga's the name of our esports team, by the way. We started that in Queens. We'll see where it goes. It's been slow growing. All right, but I'm going to take us live here. Yeah, this will be fine. And we'll just hop right into it. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Nobody Loves You with our very special guest today, Flor Bromley. Oh my gosh. Let's take her full screen. Let's give her the respect she deserves. Thank you so much for being here. You're amazing.
Thank
I
you.
love you. Thank you for coming on this show. I could say so many things about you. I mean, you're an artist, you're a storyteller, you're a musician, you're an actress, you're a model, you're a puppeteer. You do everything. You're a mother. You have two beautiful children. But how? Just tell the audience. Let us know who you are, and maybe a little bit of how we met.
My name is Flor Bromley, and I am a musician. I'm a children's musician, and I do storytelling, like you said, and some puppetry, and just I'm an entertainer. Ever since I was born, I've always tried to entertain people. And back in Peru, that wouldn't give me any money, so I kind of did not want to do that. And here it doesn't give me any money either, but at least at least it's different. I can make ends meet. And so I'm doing that. I'm doing bilingual music for families, and I'm bringing all of my art into it. And how do we met? So we met, even though we're in the same business, we didn't met through that. We met through your wife. I met your wife doing special show, and we became instant friends because she's amazing, as you
As I know, as I will attest to, she's pretty cool.
So we just became instant friends, and we hang out a lot. And then and she was single at the time, and I was trying to hook her up with a bunch of my friends, but that never
Of
worked
course.
out.
I mean, you're
And then
being
she
a
said,
good girlfriend. You're trying to help her.
and then she said she met you, and I was really excited for it. And then we arranged a meeting, I think, at a bar in the middle of Midtown in Manhattan,
Yes, I remember
and
this.
we shared a beer. And I think I had to run or something, but I mean, I met you, and we shared some laughs, and then we hang out some more times. And I told her, I think this is it, girl. I mean, you guys are so good together. And I knew, as a married woman that I am, you kind of know when you see a couple and you see them, how do they react?
I appreciate your vote of confidence. I think that helped because she does trust you quite a bit. So thank you for helping my successful marriage. Uh, I'll take a quick moment, just as a quick aside. My mother had the same opinion. When she met Viana, I brought her to visit my mother. My
Mhm.
mom went upstairs and actually got the engagement ring out of a
Oh my
closet.
gosh.
And she was like, I think you'll need this. I'm like, why is everyone telling me this? She's like, I think
Yeah.
she sees pretty
Mhm.
good. You see pretty good. And it's just, when you know, you know.
And I don't know if I ever told you this, but I told her right before even she met you, I had a dream. And in my dream, she was getting married. And I kind of took a glance at the groom. And I mean, for me, Viana being from Indian descent, she knew that she, in her heart, she was like, I'm probably going to marry an Indian man. So, but in my dream, it was a Caucasian dude with a beard, just like you. and, I,
So you're a
and when I
fortune
met you,
teller too? We can add
I
to
think
your
so.
list
When
of
I met you, I was
abilities.
just like, I remember my dream, and I was just like, interesting. And then I
You
told her that
never told me
after she
this.
was engaged.
I've never heard this story.
I didn't want to psych her up, but
Right,
yeah.
of course, of course. Because then it's just every white guy she sees could be like, is it him? Is it? Oh my god! So you're the reason I met my lovely bride. Thank you so
No, that's
much.
not true. You met because of destiny and faith, and I just had a dream. I mean, dreams are weird sometimes, but I mean, that was an interesting dream I had because then I met you, and I was just like, oh wow, that guy looks like the guy in my dream.
Pull
Okay,
out a
let's not try to
small
think about
doodle you did. Be like, that looks familiar.
it. It's funny.
Now, one thing I do want to touch on, take us back, is you
Mhm.
talk about how there isn't a lot of money in children's music. So you love what you do. You
I
have to have
did.
a passion because obviously you do well. You've had two successful albums. You're about to release a third successful album. I know it's going to be amazing. This one's going to be the best one yet. But you have to have a passion for children, for storytelling. Where did
Mhm.
this come from? When did you get started wanting to work with children in this way?
I think like I said, I always knew I was an entertainer. When I was 4 years old, I would sing in front of the mirror. But coming from a family of professionals, doctors, lawyers, teachers, my parents had no idea how to get me into the business, especially in Peru. So then we moved to the city, but still, there was no way that they were going to get me in to go into auditions or anything like that. They were like, "You're not going to make any money out of that." But I've always knew, like, I had a little puppet and I would entertain my family with the little puppet. And it was funny. I guess if I grew up here, people would have seen that I had a gift for puppetry and I could have become the next amazing puppeteer. But there, it was just like, meh. Oh, funny. That's just funny. So my parents, of course, they wanted me to be a doctor, just like my dad. And then when I was 12, I told my dad I want to be an entertainer. So let's do some acting classes. And that's how I got into theater. And eventually theater morphed into musical theater. Because even though I love to sing, I never thought of myself as singing in bars. Nothing that is anything wrong with that. It was just not my schedule. It was not my scene. I just never thought of myself as perform. I wanted to perform in big concerts, but to get into those big concerts, you have to, perform late nights and go into bars to bars and have that late night life that I was never a fan of. And so I never thought of myself following music. But then I discovered children's music. And here in New York, where we are based, where I'm based, and you're based, the children's music has its own niche. And it's wonderful. I had my first concert through a company that I work for. I was doing children's music with them. And when I was on that stage in El Museo del Barrio, I was just like, yes, this is it. I want to do this. It's specifically this. So I called my friend who's a producer, and we did the first album. And it was just an experiment because I was pregnant with my first. I had no idea what I was doing. And yeah, I mean, it took off. It took off. I was able, with that little album that we first did, I was able to meet a bunch of people and to play and perform at places that I was never able to get in before, just as a storyteller or as a puppeteer. That music concert field gave me a bigger crowd and following than anything else that I was doing.
And for those who may not know you as well as I do, what was the name of your first album?
Cheeky Music Boom.
Oh my gosh. Okay, and where can people listen to Cheeky? Say it again.
The chiqui is short for chiquito, which is little in Spanish.
Okay.
And then you have music, and you have boom because it was like a boom. I don't know.
It's cute. It's cute. I love it.
I was teaching a workshop for middle school kids in the Bronx, and I just was like, which one of these names could be good? And they picked that one, and I was like, this is it, I guess.
I mean, trust the vibe when it's there, right? If people are
Right,
like,
yeah.
I'm feeling cheeky music boom.
I'm feeling cheeky music boom. Yeah. And the second album was called Fiesta Global.
Okay.
And it was just, a lot of different rhythms of music from different places. Encompassing one album. So we have some New Orleans jazz, and we have some batucada from Brazil, and we have some son jarocho from Mexico. We have like a very Green Day-ish song, American punk
Sure.
Green Day-ish in it. And it's basically all these rhythms that I grew up with. We have a marinera that's from Peru, and coming from there, also you get to listen to different types of music. And as an exchange student, I discovered that everybody listens to different genres, but it's pretty much, music is universal. So I wanted to put that in the second album. And the third one that's coming out.
Yes, the one we're all anticipating.
It's called Pachamama, which means Mother Earth in Quechua, which is the language of the Peruvian people, of my ancestors. And it's a tribute to Mother Earth. And a lot of those songs I have a mix of wino and hip hop. I have different very types of songs, fusion of songs. If the song, for example, I have a country song, but the theme is Peruvian. It's about a little boat that reed craft, watercraft that in Peru they sell the fishermen. So it's also very storytelling. This album, like every song is a story. And I have a song that I need to talk to your wife about a mango. And I know mangoes are originally from India. And this is a tango's mango, el tango del mango.
I got my
and I
favorite
need to
song on
talk
your
to her
album.
about to make sure I don't fall into any bad cultural stuff.
No. You can say anything you want about mangoes. This is my favorite thing about like Indian people and like Hindu people is if you bring up mango, everyone in the room has a memory of their favorite mango. The whole night's over. Whatever you were talking about has been derailed. It's like this one time I was in India and I remember I had a mango. Like that becomes the conversation. Because your grandma comes out and she has a memory as a child of the juiciest mango she ever had. It's this amazing thing
That's
about the
awesome.
world. And then somebody goes, well, you know what we have to do? And everyone's like, go get mangoes. So then the whole family
Yeah.
gets up. It's totally fine. I 100% am confident to say that.
Yeah, so this story is basically about a mango that they were gonna select the king of the mango. This is a made up story.
Yeah.
They were gonna select the king of the mangoes, and then they decided, and they all had to do an Indian dance, right?
Mm-hmm.
But this mango liked tango. So he was like, everybody was like, no, you cannot dance tango. This is not our tradition. And he's like, let me dance the tango. So he dances the tango and he shows everybody that even though he's different, he's still great. And that's just the moral of the song and the story.
Beautiful. This is beautiful. And I find that to be an amazing message. It reminds me of Jeffrey the giraffe who wants to dance.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. I love this. Yeah. No, this is so cool. I'm super into it. I think one thing I want to get to though is almost all I believe all of your albums are bilingual, correct?
Yes.
And I know how important that is to you, and I guess I just want to hear you talk about like not only why is it important, but how is the reception to it been? You know, like how do you find American audiences responding to a bilingual album?
It's interesting because this is, yeah, I mean, I've done 2 albums. The last one was released in the middle of the pandemic, so I haven't been able to actually perform live in front of children. The reaction of bilingual music, I usually have different groups. So I have parents who want to teach, Caucasian parents who want to teach their children Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
I have Spanish parents that understand the Spanish and not the English, but they like because their kid understands both. And I have just people who are up for anything, right? They're like, yeah, this is cool. This album, though, I'm doing a little experiment and I'm releasing dual songs. So that means that half of the album is they're the same songs, but they're in English and then they're in Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a couple of them that are bilingual, but there's a language that is more predominant than the other. And that's what I'm doing right now, because I feel like the Spanish market itself, like in Peru, people want to hear songs just in Spanish, for their kids, because they don't dominate English that much, and English speakers want to hear songs in English because they're like. So I feel like, I don't know if the bilingualism has limited me or I don't know. So I'm doing this experiment and see what happens. And I have a couple of friends that have done that too. So yeah, I'm excited to see what happens. Because, for example, I have a song that's called Pañuelo, which is handkerchief, and it's a marinera, and it's in Fiesta Global. Half of it is in Spanish and half of it is in English. So it got picked by this company, Loveberry, which is like a cubicle company. They make play boxes for babies, and it's on their Spotify channel and has given me so many plays. And I think they picked it because it's songs en español. Because half of it is, the whole half of first is in Spanish. So I'm like, interesting. Same thing with Superhero, which I released in 2 languages, and Superhero has gotten a lot of plays in English in radios, children's radio here. So yeah, I'm doing that. Let's see what happens.
I mean, I love it. And as a student of Spanish, I've always appreciated if I can hear it in Spanish and then hear the translation and it has like the same tone, because now I can wire my brain. It's like, oh,
Mhm.
I felt like this when I heard that word. I
Mhm.
think it helps, especially in my understanding and processing of the language. And I've never told you this, but I went to one of I've been to one of your concerts, you know that. But at one of your
Mhm.
concerts, one of your viewers was just kind of like standing next to me. And I remember hearing him say, I don't know what she's singing, but I like the way it sounds. And I just thought that was like one of the funniest things I'd ever heard an audience member say. Because you have an amazing voice and you have such a great charm and personality on stage that I think your music does kind of transcend the language at some point. And
Mhm.
oftentimes, that's enough to get people to want to learn the language
Mhm.
because it's just about exposure. So
Mhm.
often people are, they're locked into their mother tongue. A lot of Americans, they speak English, they listen to English, that's it. So there's
Yeah.
no world for them to hear your beautiful language. And I think when you expose them to it in a way that's digestible, even if it is children's music, it invites them to be like, oh, I wonder if there's more Spanish music that I would like. So I think you're doing a very beautiful thing. Uh, and you're doing so many things. Oh my gosh. Let's talk about Let's Learn NYC for PBS. This is huge. How did you get involved with this? And tell me more about it.
My friends from the New York City Children's Theater Company posted a thing on Instagram, and I follow them. They were one of the first children's company that I work with. I would do shows with them through them in schools, and it was pretty much a storytelling theater shows. And they posted on Instagram that their teaching artists were doing this program, and I was like, "You guys, can you connect me with the person involved? Let's see if we can work together." So they did. They were very nice. And then I connected with this person that works for the Department of Education, and I sent her some of my stuff. And it's like, yes, please send us some stuff. So they're using some of the stuff that I did called some of my web series that I did a couple of years ago called Fun with Flor. They're using a couple of those segments for their interstitials. I finally learned how to say that word. Interstitials, which is for people. I was like intersectionals. No,
Great.
interstitials.
Feminism is amazing. Intersectionalism, even I have trouble with this. Intersectionality is great, but interstitials are a thing.
Yeah, they're the things that go in between the programs, the big segments. So they're using that, and then I recorded a couple of bigger segments for them that I think they're gonna put on as well. So yeah, that's what I did for PBS. So I'll let you know when it's up.
Yeah, send us all the links because we're gonna put them as interstitials for our
Interstitial.
episodes as well. I have to ask. I know this is silly, but when I met you, I just assumed that you were American, 100% born here. You flew in English. What is it about certain words that catch you up? Like what does it happen often, or what is? Do you know?
No, my brain. I think I dream in English. I dream in Spanish. I dream in both languages. I think, luckily, my mom was an English professor, so she taught me well to dominate both languages. And I've always liked the the way that English, connects soundly with the words. I find it that English is a language that is particularly funny, which I love, and that Spanish is very dramatic. Uh, like when you hear a soap opera, right? Like there's things, and when you translate, when you see Friends dubbed into Spanish, it just flops horribly. Like it just does not work. Because it's the timing and the words, and the play on play words that match the sound. So for sometimes some words for me, like interstitials, like I need to see it. I'm a very graphic person, so I need to see it written. And I hadn't seen it written because I just talked to her over the phone, or I guess I saw it once. So with my husband, who is American, and he speaks English, I was like, and then he's like, interstitials. So I think it took me like 10 times to like finally say that word correctly. But sometimes I have a brain freeze, and I
Mhm.
cannot, either say a word or like, oh, I'm confused. And especially if I'm speaking with a bilingual person that I know dominates both languages, we go back and forth in English and Spanish, which is really fun to do.
Yeah, that's a code that no one can break. Once you start Like, yo, estoy hungry, and then pardon, like it just, and then people are like, what is happening at the other table?
Yeah.
I want to know from you, is dreaming in the second language your mark of fluency? Because I know for some people, yeah, go
I
please,
think
please.
so. I think so. I don't remember. I was an exchange student when I was 17, and that's when I first started. And people were like, "Yay!" And I was like, "Why are you congratulating me?"
You're dreaming.
I think that's when your brain kicks in the language, and like it's already in your subconscious. So it's not as hard. You're not translating everything into your brain. You're just kind of, your brain understood the language and it's like, okay, blah, 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 blah. Uh, but yeah, I think that's what happens. I think
that
that's the step to the goal.
that's always been a real moment for me, is because I don't consider myself bilingual. I study so many languages. I can speak other languages, but I have to take my English, translate it to the other words, then translate the grammar, and it's like
Yeah.
that's not bilingual. That's language with extra steps. I don't know. It's not the thing. So I always look forward to the moment where it's like, oh, I'm dreaming in Spanish. I'm dreaming in another tongue.
Mm-hmm.
But please, there's so much we have to get to with you. I don't want to miss out. You have a radio show you're doing now. It's on Jump 105.3 Pittsburgh, and it's streaming
Yes.
globally on their website. What is this show? And it involves my friend.
It's your friend
It's
Archie's
not. It's
there.
not that you're not my friend. I love you. I think you're amazing. But my friend is one of the coolest people I've ever met. And is he here?
He is here.
This is such a treat, and I feel so bad for everybody listening to the podcast and not on the stream, because the coolest guy in the world is about to show up.
Archie, you want to say hello?
Well, what's going on? What's happening? What's up? Oh, hi.
Yo,
Hi,
Archie,
Lucy.
what's
How
up,
are
man? I
you?
miss you, dude. How have you been?
Archie, not Archie. Archie's confused. He's looking at both sides of the camera because he cannot tell which side he's on.
Oh, I'm right here. No, I'm right there. Okay. Hi. Hi.
What's up,
Can I?
dude? Yo,
I'm
Archie,
good. I'm
I
doing a
was.
radio show now. I'm
Yeah,
a radio personality.
yeah.
I'm a star.
You've always been a star, Archie. You're not now a star. You've always been a star, Archie. I'm so glad to have you on the show, man. Look, I remember when we did those quick webisodes way back when. When are we gonna do another one, buddy?
When the pandemic is over.
Okay. So as soon as you're vaccinated, are they vaccinating puppets yet? Has that happened?
I'm a puppet. I don't need a
Okay,
vaccination.
I don't know. Maybe just like some spring cleaning. I'm not sure what
I
puppets
think
need.
it's just humans that get it. That's what I
Okay,
told myself.
okay,
Just,
okay.
humans just get the virus. Puppets do not get anything. Puppets are awesome.
Puppets are great. So tell us about the show, Archie. Please let Flor speak for a minute, Archie, if you can. I know how much you love being the center of attention, but tell us about the show. You and Archie are doing it. It's going to be worldwide. This is so cool.
Yes, it's a new radio station for children's music, and it just started about a couple of months ago. And then I have a couple of children's musicians that have a show there. And then we agreed that I could do something there too. He was really excited to bring more diversity to the table of DJs in there. And so we started last week, and we recorded our first show. We just recorded our second. We're going to send it out. And it's basically a show where we talked about things and I explained stuff to Archie, right?
Yeah, because I don't know anything.
You know a lot of things, but sometimes I need to explain. And he was talking to me yesterday about the Women's History Month, right?
Yeah, because I asked her if she was a girl or she was a woman.
And I told him that I identify myself as a female. And when you're a female, the little females are called girls and the grown-up females are called women. So the older females are women. And he told me that I was super old.
You are.
I was not super old. I'm just a woman. So we're talking about Women's History Month in the next show that is coming up on Saturday.
Please,
It's fun.
Please send me this. I have to hear feminism as interpreted by Archie because this is the most beautiful thing ever.
Archie is like a child, so it's fun to explain to him some things, and because I think a lot of kids would identify with what his curiosity is. He's asked so many questions, and then he's trying to learn the colors in Spanish, right?
Yeah, and I thought, what do you call it?
Yellow, yellow. How do you say yellow in Spanish?
I got this ready. Hold on. Armadillo.
No, we went through this. Armadillo is the animal in the desert.
Oh, sorry. Amarillo.
Yeah, amarillo.
Hey, very good. Bueno, señor. I have a question for Archie, if I can. Archie, are you a feminist? Have you learned about this yet?
I haven't, but I am. I'm sure if it's good, I am.
If it's good, I am. I love it. Where did Archie come from? I know that's a very broad question, but what birthed Archie?
I needed a companion, for the concerts, and my friend David Manley made it for me, and then he was born.
I'm alive.
I know you're alive, and I believe in you so much, and I genuinely feel like I've missed you. It's so amazing.
Then listen to my show.
There are no repeats on the show because you can listen to it live online on the radio or through Alexa, and then it just goes away. And I'm trying to figure out a way to put it on a podcast or something, but it's also about I think I need to pay a license fee for the music that plays on the show. So I'll figure that out soon, right? So we can put it in on the web and people can listen to it whenever they want.
That would be fun.
I will make it my goal to help you do this because I need more Archie in my life. And actually, I know quick and easy ways. Huge shout out to our distributor, Anchor.fm, who would actually help you do this instantly.
Awesome.
You could have your own show. So after the show, let's talk about it because I need Archie in my life. You're amazing. Please don't get me wrong, but I really love Archie. It's one of the, thank you so much. So you guys have your show. You do you like performing live, Archie? I'm just gonna I'm sorry, Flo. I'm just switching the whole interview now to Archie and his opinions. Do you like performing live, Archie? What do you get out of it?
I get everything out of it. I love children, and I love to perform, and I love people looking at me and saying how cute I am. Thank you.
I imagine that kids love Archie.
Yeah, Archie's fun, especially when he eats the books, right?
Yeah, I like to eat books.
Is that their favorite bit? Is that the
that's
one?
That's my daughter's favorite bit.
Do you? This is so fun for me now. Do you test material on your children?
No, not really.
Okay.
I don't have the time.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, let's get to that. We're talking about it.
Okay, actually, can I put you away so I can keep talking to JT?
Okay. Bye, JT.
Bye, buddy.
Bye.
Love you. See you soon. So, thank you so much for bringing him. I genuinely love Archie. Just so everybody knows, I cannot tell you how little of a performance it is right now. I was almost crying when you were going off. All right. You're a wife. You're a mother. I get that's not your identity, but it's a part of who you are. How do you balance this with being a performer?
I don't.
Oh my God. Tell us.
I just, I do recordings at night when they're sleeping. I wish I could do a recording at a normal time where people work, like at 2 p.m., at 8 a.m. But my husband is working, and he's working from home because of the pandemic, and I have the kids. And to put him in daycare, which would mean that I need to get a bigger job, and then I would never see my kids. So I, try to find a balance. Sometimes we get help, but not really. During the pandemic, we haven't been able to get help. So, but I mean, I like that my husband is here, and he does support. He does cook and does the dishes all the time, and he's a good husband, and I love him very much. And he's been my rock through the whole thing. And I think we made a good team, and I think you need that. I think I'm very lucky to have that, so that we can find that balance, and he's my biggest fan and he's my biggest critical too. So he helps me. He's the one that I test my content in before sending it out. He has to
Smart.
watch the show and he has to, listen to the radio show before I send it out, just in case I say something that is too touchy, or I say I mispronounce a word in English. Yeah, he corrects it out.
That's so amazing. And for all the partners out there, I'm going to use this word. For all the partners listening, you have to do this for your spouse. Okay? You have to be their biggest fan and their biggest critic. Because you're there to protect them. That's a part of the deal, especially when your spouse is an entertainer, when they are a performer. Yes, they need their freedom to express themselves, but sometimes as artists, we get a little carried away. And I think what I really loved hearing you say, and one of the reasons why I love your husband as well, is that he cooks, he cleans. All right? That's what partners do. All right? And that's one thing I talk about in Viana, my wife and I talk about a lot. We're partners first. I remember when we first started dating, she was telling everybody we were life partners. And I had never heard that, right? I had never heard that before. And I was just like, oh, shucks, dude. I kind of, I like that. But then that word started to take on so much more when you're like, well, who does the dishes? We do.
We both, yeah.
Right? Who takes care of the kids? We
We
do.
both.
Yes. You see what I'm saying? So I love hearing that about you and your partner, you and your husband. That's so amazing that you have that. And I hope that you always have that.
Right, yeah. This pandemic has really, at the beginning, you had, and I know a lot of my married friends, you had those fights because you are admitting someone into your environment. Like I was used to just, managing the house most of the time because he was gone working in the city and coming home late, and then he's here and then he has expectations and I have expectations. So at the beginning of the pandemic it was like crash. So then we figured out how to make it work, and now it's I don't want him to go back to work in the city.
Oh, so you're saying communication is healthy?
Yes, pretty much.
Because that was always the thing. Is like, if you love someone, if you're married to someone, if you're in an intimate relationship with someone, you're gonna fight. You're going to.
Mm-hmm.
You're never going to agree on everything. But what makes it work is that you can communicate about it. Hey,
and then to pick your battles.
Yes. Well, this is the other one is you don't always need to win. Sometimes certain things can be a loss. So you could take another fight somewhere else.
Yeah, you let it go because you then start in your head. I'm like, if I nitpick about this, we're gonna have a conversation and it's gonna take a while. I'm really sleepy, so maybe I'm just gonna let it go. Like then you forget about it. It was like nothing. It was a fight about nothing. And you have to pick your battles. You have to know how much work you're gonna put into making that a point. If it's really important to you, or if you're just gonna, like let it go.
Some things can be let go. Some things, it's just because of close proximity, we feel like we have to take every, what? And for me, a big change I made in my life is I stopped having the argument in my head. Mm-hmm. I stopped pre-planning, oh, they did this, so I'm going to say this the next chance I get. And instead it was like, that didn't matter. Mm-mm. That, and I think you said it, you nailed it right on the head, is some of it doesn't matter. We're just, let it go.
Yeah, I remember now when we were dating, I remember the fight. I remember what I did after. I remember we lived in a studio. So it's like, I sent him to the bathroom because we didn't have space in the house and I had to leave the apartment and it was cold. And then he didn't know where I was. He called my friend, like it was a whole deal. And I was like, and what was that fight about? And we do not remember at all what was the fight about, but we remember the fight. And
right.
Like that's, that could have been an email,
Yeah,
what I mean?
Right. That could have been my bad.
A text message,
right.
Like, yeah.
Whoops. But that is so true. And it actually brings me to something I want to ask you about. I think in relationships, because we have relationships with our partners, we have relationships at work, we have relationships with our audience.
Mhm.
When we make mistakes in these relationships, how do you bounce back? When you make like a wrong or you do wrong or you mess up, how do you come back stronger? Do you have techniques or do you have strategies?
That's just probably one of the hardest things, because when after you admit it's a lot of fight of egos. So once you admit you're wrong, you just want your partner to be like, I was wrong too. But that doesn't always happen. Your partner is like, yeah, I know you're wrong, and then you're like, so basically the same thing. Just there's some things that are worth fighting for, and there's some things that you have to let go, especially because if you have two kids, if you have work to do, you don't have the time to fight. And so if you do want to fight, write it down, and then if it's important to you after a couple of hours, then you bring it out, and then you work things out. What happens to us when we do have these fights that, thank goodness, haven't been that much during this pandemic time, we pretty much make a compromise. I was like, okay, so you didn't like that, then I'll do this if you do that. And then we compromise into, I change one aspect and you change the other aspect. Sometimes we forget about it and we have to be reminded. But I mean, we try to make it work, because if it's that important for that person that brought it up, you have to make it work.
For me, I have a strategy specifically when it comes to like business.
Mm-hmm.
I'll write the email, but I don't hit send.
Yes.
I'll leave it in draft, and then I'll wait a day.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll ask Viana to read it. I'll ask my manager to read it. And if they're like, why would you send this? It's like, you're right. This was just ego. And it always comes down to ego, right? And it's one of the silliest things that we will often shoot ourselves in the foot to feed the ego, but then that's going to destroy something down the road. And it's just such a silly thing we do. But I like what you said. Compromise is king. And I get that people hate compromising, but it is the key to success, is just to compromise all the way up the mountain.
Otherwise, these issues are going to haunt your entire marriage. And like, that didn't work for my parents, for example. They had these issues, and they always had these issues, and none of them wanted to compromise, and it didn't work. Do
you think your current marriage, your current relationship, how much of that is in reaction to what you saw not working with your parents?
So it's funny because my husband laughs about this. I thought my parents had the perfect relationship. I never saw the issues. Like, I would see it, but they never really fought. There were some times that my mom would like get mad, and she would just get mad, and then she would just walk away. Like, she was a runaway. She would just run. She's, sometimes in fight, people run, and then my dad would always chase her, and my dad would always put himself down. And I thought that was the way to go. But my dad was hurt. My dad was, he compromised a lot about those things. And then my mom had other ideas in her head, and I never saw that. Like, it was so funny. And I thought they had the perfect relationship. And then once the problems started, because my husband met my parents when they were still married. And then after that, when the problems started happening and you could see they were going to get a divorce, my husband's like, yeah, I kind of saw it, and I didn't really want to tell you because you thought your parents had the perfect relationship. And I'm like, I'm so glad that I don't, because I've always lived all my relationships very different than my parents. Like, they're not physical. I am very physical. I'm like, and I think this comes to how you manifest love. Some people do acts, people do physical touch, some people do acts of service. And I think there's another one that I don't really know about, or I don't remember, but I read that somewhere. To me, it's like physical touch, knowing that I'm here. And some people do a lot of acts of service. And my parents didn't do any physical touch that I would see. And that's not something that I practice ever since I was a teenager. So I think it comes with personality. It comes from what you see from your parents, but it also comes from your own personality, how you manifest love.
That's beautiful. And I agree with you on this point a lot, is that I think skinship is the word I always use, is very important. If you touch someone on the hand, you're letting them know you're there. And that energy, it goes back and forth for a second. And if the person doesn't retreat right away, they share that energy with you. And I think it's just such a beautiful thing. But we have so much to cover. I could sit and talk to you about love all day, and I want to know so much more. But what's next for you? You know, you're doing all these things. You got an album coming out. You have a radio show coming out. Archie's probably got a movie somewhere. What's next for you? You know, where do you want to go?
Well, I hope that with this album it can bring me and open some new doors. Like I want to be more national and maybe international. I have a couple of collaborators in the album that hopefully, you know, by unifying with those people, I can make it into other families, other groups, you know, because I feel like, okay, I'm doing this out of the goodness of my heart, but I also, as an entertainer, you want to reach those people that you're singing about. You want to people and kids to know what your message is, because my message is for kids to be able to understand the world globally and not just be stuck in a bubble, but to like be curious about different cultures, different languages, different stories. And I think that's my mission. So hopefully with this album gets a bigger coverage that I can spread that message more into the world. Because I feel like I said before, that's my mission, and I want to do my mission. So just keep going with my mission, and that's what's in the future for me, and hopefully be able to reach more people with that.
So let's help you do that right now. I mean, where can our audience find you? Where can they listen to you? Where can they get more Archie in their life? You know, give us everything.
Well, my website is florbromleymusic.com, and I'm on Spotify, Flor Bromley. I'm on YouTube. I have some stuff that you'll see soon at PBS. I am on, what else I'm on? It's Instagram and Facebook and all the social medias. And I have an event on Clubhouse every Thursday with recently Grammy winner 2021, Joni Leeds. She's a friend of mine. She just won for Best Children's Album. And we do a Clubhouse event every Thursday at 5:30 where we talk to adults about the kids biz. Today, I think we're talking YouTube monetization. And last week, we talked children's TV. And we had Carly Cagliocci from We're But True, Tim Kubar, Erica Rabner, who works for Sesame Street, and Daniel Tiger. And we had the producer of Cocomelon and Degrassi in there. You know, you never know who's going to show up. So this week is YouTube monetization, and we just keep posting the things. So if you're on Clubhouse, if anybody on your audience is on Clubhouse and they want to know more about the kids biz, they can always come there. And we have a house, you know, a group. You can be a member, the kids biz. So yeah, find us there too.
So cool. I look forward to it. I look forward to all your success. I can't wait to come bring my children to one of your concerts. So cool. Think about that. How neat's that going to be? One thing I love asking people before I let you go, do you have a life philosophy? Do you have something that guides you sort of like on your journey to complete your mission? You know, what would be something if you were going to share advice or a philosophy with other artists who are just getting started to give them inspiration?
This is a tough one, because when I was 17, I would always be like, nothing is impossible, follow your heart. And I still believe that. But I also know of the difficulties that you might encounter. So nothing is impossible is true. However, you as a human being have your limits, and you need to know which ones are your limits, so you know how far you're going to go with that. Nothing is impossible, because you might have to sacrifice things. You might have to do things that you don't want to do. And that comes in the way of what you want. And if that comes too much in the way of what you want, then maybe you need to redirect what you want. Everybody has their own journey. Never compare yourself with other people that are doing the same thing you do. You know, it's your journey, it's your way. And if this album doesn't give you what you want, let's say you want the Grammy, right? If this album doesn't give you a Grammy, at least it's going to put you on the map. Something, it's always going to come from what you produce and bring into this world with love. So never compare yourself to other people's journeys, because it's yours and yours only.
Incredible. Incredible. That's something I'm going to take home with me today. Like, I just imagine, you know, success, I think we always view success as a mountain, right? And
Mhm.
you find a path, you start going up that path, and a limit doesn't mean the end of your journey. It
Mhm.
just means that path doesn't work right now. Maybe you need to
Mhm.
try another path so you can
Yeah.
keep going up the mountain. And don't look at other people's footsteps because
Mhm.
their path isn't going to be the same as yours. You
Mhm.
might be able to take it for a little while, but then maybe it gets blocked. So I think that's
Yeah.
a very beautiful message, and I appreciate you so much for sharing it. Last thing, you've been awesome. This has been so much fun. Archie, I know you're listening. You're a cool guy too. Before I let you
Good.
go, I want to know, and I ask everybody the same question:
Mhm.
how do you say "I love you"?
I'm gonna answer in my language. There's two words in my language, so we separate that. So first is the love that you have for your parents, for your family, for your grandparents, and that is te quiero, and that's like an amical kind of love, te quiero. And then the other one that you have is te amo, which you can also use for your parents and your grandparents. Like you can also use te amo, but that's like deep. That's more for at least might take it more for a romantic relationship. Te amo and te quiero. It's both words. They mean the same. They both mean I love you, but you use it different depending on the intensity you love someone. And you guys don't have that here, which is pretty interesting.
I'll say this: we have "I love ya," YA, which to me would be like a "te quiero." It would be like, "Oh yeah, I love you," YA. But then "I love you." If you say the word, and then now you have the text one, ILY, which is just an abomination of the feeling.
That's good.
But just for our audience, for everyone at home, one more time, te quiero and te amo, just so they can hear it.
Te quiero, te amo.
Thank you so much, Flor. You've been the best. I've appreciated you so much having you on the show. Archie, you've been great too. Stick around, everybody. I'm gonna hop off here and chat with Flor about life and getting her own podcast because she needs one. But for everybody who showed up today, thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.
Thank you.